G'day again, and welcome to another one of me ramblings. Uh, haven't done a video in a while, and it's just wanted to clear a few things up. What these videos or what this channel was going to be about or is going to be about, and like I can already see it's evolving and changing. I could see my direction that I was going in with the last video. I was just dictating a lot of other people's ideas and that, which is all good. This is the space video. I wanted to just eventually start talking about some field theory and basically my approach to it, which will be like kind of approaching it in a bit of a mythological way, like a bit, yeah, a bit uh, unscientific, I suppose, and more empirical based. Um, Knowledge and observations and things like that. And so I think basically I just wanted to get a slow basis of understanding of certain topics like space and matter and time and things like that, so we could get a basic understanding of it. But why I say mythological too is because in my search for knowledge and understanding and truth, um, I've come across a lot of different things, and especially the one of the most recent curiosities that I've had is electricity and magnetism, and it's opened up my understanding to the world and the universe like nothing ever before. And the link between, uh, I'll say, like mythology or like, and I hate using loose terms like spirituality, but I'll use it in this sense, spirituality, in a spiritual way. And why I say I hate using those words is because they're really loose. And I think when it's what I mean by loose is like when we talk about these topics, especially the unorthodox topics, we need to come to a clear understanding, and our communication is very important. And when I say a word like spiritual, well, what the hell does that fucking mean? Um, Spiritual. Okay, well, it's indicating that it's got something to do with spirit. Well, what is spirit? You know, you, I hope you can understand why I mean it's loose and why it can be translated differently to a lot of different people, depending on what their beliefs and what their experiences are with the word and what they've linked it to. So, but why I say it's like something like that is because when you venture down the path of understanding that, there's a few terms that have sprung up, like point source and can't remember, incommensurability, things like that that aren't really. You go to look up the definitions of them, and they're like, fucking, hang on, do these guys even fucking know? Like, what? Like, it's fucking weird. And what I mean by point source is it cannot be located in a Cartesian aspect. And I hope you've watched the space video. So it can't be located on an XYZ. And it's like certain other things, like when we talk about the soul or the spirit or whatever you want to say, or consciousness or a thought, well, you cannot locate those on a Cartesian space. They exist. We know they exist, but we can't locate them. You can't see them. You can't perceive them. For all intents and purposes, they're not real. And this is another term where it brings in another term that I'm going to be using, which I've been trying to look for a better word for this because it is counterintuitive, but a counter space. and that just means non-spatial. So everything that space is, counter space is not. So it is not locatable. It is not. Does not have a size. For all intents and purposes, it's not there. It doesn't exist. And and this is not only important in things like terms like the soul, but also when we talk about light and where light comes from. It's well, light's not emitted. It's sort of a perturbation in the field that ripples it. And when we talk about field and space, and how I said space was empty in the last video, and a friend of mine had a really good question that made me think how I would approach when I said this. When I say this, I probably made a mistake in, or not a mistake in saying that space was empty, but and I'm pretty sure at one point in time I did say that space was a concept, and that's probably the most important thing I should have accentuated on. Space is the concept of where we measure these observations. It's space is the illusion of separation, and in that empty space, it's more like the field has no modality of matter in within that space, within that region. And so everything is a field, everything is the ether or God or whatever you want to call it. And the empty space still contains the ether. That's how the light travels through it. But space is not the ether, if that makes any sense. It's birthed from it, right? And when I say birth, it's always been, as far as I can understand, as far as I've been able to obtain, it's always here. It's an everlasting thing. We're all a part of it. And there's no separation between me and you, or me and this object. It's all one object. And the illusion is the space between it. And that's just because this grand thing that we're all a part of has different modalities which it can take a part of. It's like if it was all a big pool of water and you had ice cubes all floating through it or whatever, orbiting each other. They're all made of the same thing, but they're a different modality. They're a different thing of the same substance. It's all yeah. And that's basically what I'm going to be trying to approach through these videos, is trying to explain that through through more how should I put this? Through language that's less mysterious and more scientific, even though it's not scientific, because I've got no way to prove most of this shit that I'm gonna be fucking saying. Many people said it before. Nearly all fucking religions, all monotheistic religions anyway, are gonna be saying the same shit that I'm gonna be dribbling. But anyway, if you want to keep listening, that's what it's going to be about. And I hope cleared a few things up. And so for the next video, I might start talking about like matter, mass, magnitude, and magnetism. It's all the same thing. The 4 M's. Yeah, so I'll be talking about that next. Peace, guys. Cheers for listening.